Disclaimer: the content shared on Somewhere Between Chaos and Calm may contain discussions of mental health conditions, trauma, and other sensitive topics that could trigger for some listeners.
Please note that although I am a medical professional, any opinions, stories, or advice shared are based on personal experiences and should not be considered medical guidance. We strongly encourage our listeners to consult with a licensed physician or mental health professional for any medical, medication, or psychological concerns. Your mental well-being matters. Please take care while listening.
Hi, everybody. It's Sarah, your neurospicy friend.
And I'm Jen, and we're in here just figuring it out together.
So today on episode 2, we're going to be talking about cycle breaking. But first, before we get into it, let's start with our calm for the week. So, Jen, kick us off. What was your calm this week?
Ooh, you know what? This is crazy because I've been thinking about this all week. And now that you've just asked me, I cannot come up with anything. So hold on.
That's the way it goes every time.
Like, there's been days where I've been like, is this my calm? I'm like, maybe not. It's feeling a lot like chaos. My calm for this week has been, so typically I am in graduate school right now. So a lot of times I will have class or do homework after the kids go to bed. It just is like, feels like I'm just kind of going from work to work to work. And now that I don't have school right now, I kind of have this nice opportunity where after the kids go to bed, there's a chance for like my husband and I to watch a TV show. And then there's also a chance for me to just read a book that's not a textbook. And so I think there's been like this really nice trying to carve out this really nice space in the evenings where it gets to be a little bit more about me and not having to do with taking care of someone else or figuring out party decorations or, you know, planning the next grocery list, like just having a moment to be calm and to be together. And that's been really nice.
Yeah, a little bit of self-care on your break. That's super important because it's got to be, you got the little kids, you got school, and it's not even just school, right? Like, let's be honest, like you're going for a master's degree. So like it's challenging work, right? Mm-hmm. It's good, it's great, it's wonderful knowledge, but it's got to be challenging. Yeah. So taking this time to be like, I'm going to read the book and not look at the laundry, do it all day. Because like we have discovered, laundry is just insanity. It's going to keep going forever and ever for the rest of our lives. But this break that you have right now, you won't always get these, right? So yeah, that's awesome to take that time to just read a book. Like that's, it feels so good when you can read a book, doesn't it?
It really does. And like we found a new comedy show that's like 30 minutes, which is like, I just feel like you just need a show that's 30 minutes sometimes. Sometimes I'm not in it for the 45-minute length. I just need something that's like quick, easy, makes you laugh, doesn't make you think too hard, and lets me keep going with my night.
Yeah.
It like gives us a chance to connect over something, but also like, okay, that was fun. Now I can turn it off and like go do something else.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like to just turn off a show because I have obsessive tendencies, but it sounds delightful, I'll be honest. I have every good intention every night to just be one thing, then bed, all the self-care bed things I'm going to do. And then it's 2 a.m. and I'm like, dang it.
Yes, wait, how has your sleep been? I feel like
sleep has been better. It's been a lot better. So honestly, that's probably my calm this week has actually been my sleep because I am a terrible sleeper. And then last week I had this trip, this work trip for Las Vegas that I was gone 3 days smack dab in the middle of the week. So traveled across the country. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's a Tuesday and you're traveling across the country and you're doing a time change and then you're doing conferences and socializing and blah, blah, blah. And then all of that happens and then bam, you fly home and then you have another time change. And of course, like you can only fly home, I'm pretty sure with work trips, I'm pretty sure that you can only fly home at like the most inconvenient times to where you end up home at like 1 a.m, right?
The latest possible.
Yes. It's never gonna just be like, oh, you're gonna get home at 3 p.m. So that happened. And all the while I'm still adjusting to my meds. I had to get on another new, so the previous story was my meds were the new meds were giving me blood pressure issues. Okay. We got that resolved. I got on something, no more blood pressure issues, but then there's a new one and she had warned me, my psychiatrist warned me. She said, hey, this is a pretty common side effect. If you experience it, please stop it right away and we'll figure something else out. So it's a mood stabilizer, but it would give me the weirdest spotted rash. Like I was like a leopard. It is just on the right side of my body for some reason. I don't know.
Never heard of.
I know. I don't know. But she told me, she's like, it's a very common side effect. She goes, but if it happens, she's like, it's not a side effect that will go away or that we want you to continue this on. She's like, so if you do get it, stop it. We'll figure something else out. So we did that. And all the while, this is probably like 10 days, almost 2 weeks of kind of like traveling, readjusting. I had no calm until this week when I finally got the meds all on the right schedule. And I'm sleeping. Like I am going to bed before midnight. I'm going to bed at like 10:30, which is crazy for me because I my whole life, like my bedtime's midnight. It's probably between midnight and 1 a.m. always.
Wow.
On the plane though, I watched this master class on brain health and I kind of got really, it was good. It was really good. It was 3 episodes long. But then I got really freaked out because your brain needs so much sleep and I do not give my brain enough sleep. So I was feeling like, oh my gosh, because they showed all these studies about how like your brain, that's when it does all of its detoxifying and it does all of it like filtering, right? Is in your sleep. Well, I'm a like 3-4 hour sleep person when I'm not in my real healthy state of mind. And it just makes it worse, right?
It doesn't, your brain never has time to relax and recharge.
Yeah. So I'm on like 3 steady nights of good 8 hours worth of sleep. And it feels freaking weird and also like really good because it's been so long. It's been years since I've slept a full night.
Wow. That's so great. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So so far we've had some good calm this week. And that's a good thing.
That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
It feels nice to be like leveled out almost.
It feels like we're definitely making progress. But I will say though, so okay, another part of this, and you can give me more insight on this because I am sure that you have probably seen this or heard of this more often than I have. So a thing with this whole calm is also I feel very dull. I feel very boring because I'm not all like up and down, up and down, up and down. And I'm leveling off. And now I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm just blah. That's what I feel like.
It's same with your emotions. Like you feel like emotions feel blunted, or do you still feel like you're feeling like happies and sads and angries or not necessarily?
I'm still feeling the happies and the sads. And I did have like, well, we can talk about my chaos in a minute, but like I definitely had feelings this week.
Yeah, that's good. Because I do feel like that comes along with that, dullness sometimes is you get those like blunted feelings of like, especially with BPD, where you typically feel feelings so big that then like once it feels reined in, it feels like you're just not you anymore either. Like, wait, this isn't my person. Like I feel things. So I think it's good that you're still like experiencing the feelings. Yeah, the boringness is probably similar to that though, right? Where it's like, I'm not as exciting right now.
Yeah. I feel like it's, and I think it's just an internal thing, right? It's just an internal thing that I'm adjusting to. But there's that part of the brain that I saw. What was that? There's like a meme out there, and it's the one with the Disney couscous guy where he's like on the good angel and the bad angel, like on the shoulder. And the bad angel is like my manicky kind of BPD self, who's like, but this would be like way more fun if we were just a little more toxic, right? Like if you just threw a little bit of a tantrum, we could have a great time.
we could keep it spicy.
Like, yeah. And I'm trying to be like, no, brain, no, we're not going to do that anymore because we're learning new tools. And at the same time, I'm like, dang, I do really feel kind of really boring. Like, nobody's cried recently. Nobody's like something broke and it was by accident, not because like I threw it. Like I don't. It feels weird.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably a good thing, but it just takes some getting used to, right? You have to find a new kind of excitement.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're working on that. Okay,
so
let's
did you
talk
say,
about.
I was gonna say, you said that you had some chaos this week too, though.
You want to talk about the chaos?
Tell me about your chaos.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, but I feel like I actually handled this really well because, well, it's and my husband handled it well. So BPD is tied very closely to like my favorite person. My favorite person is my husband. He makes me feel safe and happy and like, all the things that you would expect from your loving partner. Also, BPD's like, hey, your favorite person is also gonna freaking leave you. And I'm like, wait, what? What's happening? Like, that's just always the narrative in my head. Yeah. So I had to like talk myself down. I had to self-soothe a lot. And he has also been doing his work to recognize that like, hey, there's this part of when I get into this like splitting mode where I'm no longer in a rational state of mind. He's recognizing that like, we're not going to play into that. Like there is no part of that we actually need to go into because none of it's going to matter in about 5 minutes. Right.
Yeah.
So we get in the car. It's the end of my work day. We're headed to we have got an appointment we're both getting our hair cut at my friend's house because she cuts our hair because she's a stylist and it's awesome. So we're going to get a haircut and it's like a 20-minute drive. Totally normal. Like this is a normal thing that we do. Well, my brain's like, hey, you're really overwhelmed today because work was a little bit stressful. You did not have a chance between turning off the work mode to getting in the car with your husband and going on to the next task mode. My brain doesn't filter all of those things well. And I recently saw somebody, they described a video. They're like, or no, it was the Truth Doctor. Like you pile emotion on top of emotion on top of emotion. And that's how a lot of people with BPD kind of manage their day and would push it. We'll just keep pushing those emotions down because nobody's got time to deal with all the big feelings all the time. But then at some point during your day, you have to stop and you have to recognize and you have to filter it and you have to kind of not let it get the best of you. I let it get the best of me. We get in the car and I'm just like, hey, I love you, blah, blah, blah. And then I start going off on some random topic about why you're not doing this and it's not contributing to this and blah, blah, blah. Before I know it, I am on some sort of a tantrum that I've now started myself. Mind you, there's only 2 people in the car. me, my husband, and I have created a whole chaotic scenario in my head. And he's like, what is happening right now? And he just got like real quiet because I think he just kind of let me go through whatever it was that I needed to go through. And then 20 minutes later, we get to our friend's house and I'm like, I'm sorry. Like I recognized in that moment, like we're walking up to her door. I don't have all of my tools to like help me actually just like get it all under control, but I have enough tools where I can recognize that was a little irrational.
Yeah.
I really, I created that and I knew that. And so I apologized and we were able to quickly move on. For me, that's huge because normally that fight would have taken 2 to 3 business days to finish. on like if this were like a month ago.
Times.
Yeah. 9 to 5, the whole deal.
Huge. Yeah.
So it was a good chaos.
Yeah. Good. Got to use some skills. What skills do you feel like were helpful?
Probably mostly was the mindfulness, but also I have to say at least 50% of it has to be that my partner is also doing the work and he is also learning how to not feed into those triggers because it's easy if you don't know, it's easy to feed into that fight. It's easy because you want to get defensive. Like he had every right to be defensive because I was coming at him about something that was completely uncalled for. And he could have in that moment just been like, wall up, like I'm gonna just and he didn't. And he just said, okay, we got a 20-minute drive. I can do it. Like
he like starts thinking about his bike and his automatic lawnmower.
So I think that like I can't sit here and be like, oh, I did all the work. It was all no, I didn't. I'm very grateful that my husband also is doing the work with me. Because if you don't have that, you just end up being triggered over and over and over and over again. And it's not, you never get anywhere. Or not quickly, at least. It takes a lot longer.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Yeah.
All right, you go. What's your chaos this week?
Oh man.
You got to pick one. Just one.
It's just, I feel like, so there are certain things where, so this week we had celebrated my middle's second birthday party. So he doesn't turn 2 for another like 3 weeks, but my husband wanted his sister to be here. And so we had a party on Memorial Day weekend because we were like, everyone will be here. They'll be in town. It'll be super easy. So his sister just bought a camper. So they came down in their camper, camped in our front lawn for like a whole week. And then we have another family that stays with us sometimes, and they also have children. So over the past week, we had 7 children, 10 and under, in our home. And 4 adults.
For a week?
For a week.
Oh, man.
And it got to be like Saturday afternoon is kind of when it started. And all the kids knew that we were having this party. Like they knew that that's why we were there. The party was not until Sunday afternoon at 4, which also like, it was just so long to wait. And the poor kids, I was like trying to get everything ready. I was like cutting vegetables, cutting fruit, like cutting, prepping all the food. And they were like, wait, can we just eat this now? And I was like, no, guys, it's for the party. And I was like making goodie bags. They were like, what is that? What do you have? Can we have one? I was like, no, it's for the party. So finally, like I was so grumpy by Sunday morning when everyone's like, what, can we do this? Can we do that? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, finally, at one point, I just looked at the kids and I was like, you guys, let's make it to 3:00. If we can make it to 3:00, then it's a free-for-all. And I don't care anymore because that's the party time. But like everyone's got to keep everything together, keep the house looking nice until 3 p.m.
What time was this when you made this declaration?
Around like 10.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's like, you guys, we can do it. Like, go outside and help the dads do something because my house cannot get messy. I have nicely cleaned it, and we just have to put the food out. Like, that's all we have left to do.
Yep.
But yeah, it was like, oh, I want to eat this, or oh, I want to do this, or can we have the fruit yet? I'm like, no, stop asking me. It was an irrational feeling of like, I need to control it and like have this party smooth, and like it was just silly, like, right, just silliness of like, I just wanted to control it and I didn't have control.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, any mom who's ever tried to throw a birthday party has been there. And every mom who subsequently has birthday parties, like I have to give you credit because I know that this is not the first birthday party that because you do this. Like, this is a thing that you do. I don't do birthday parties because it's like it's so just mentally and physically draining. It will take me 6 months to recover. So
yeah, it's one of those things, like, I've done a few. We moved into this house about a year ago. So we've done a few parties and like holiday things in this house. And it's so different than like renting out a place to do something, right? Because we have this say, like, you can either, like, I prep so early, and so then I'm like all ready, and it's like 10 a.m. and I'm like ready to go. Then we're like, crap, like, what do I do for the next 6 hours with myself?
Yeah.
Because everything's ready. Whereas like if I were going somewhere, I feel like, it's like, oh, I'd be able to pack up and like unpack and decorate and all this stuff. And I don't know, for some reason, having it here at the house just makes it feel that much more stressful of like, I don't know what, I get too prepped and then I like can't do anything else. So I just sit there and stare for hours. When's the party
nobody
gonna start?
touch anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 3 kids, it doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah, and that's things. and we've all been there. And I think you're in that place, right? Because you're in that planning mode, you're in the party mode. You're too far in the weeds to just step back and be like, oh, you know what, it's probably really not that big of a deal. Or you're too far in now. There's nothing you can do. The train has left the station. But I have to ask them. So you made it to 3, you made it through the party. What was your favorite part though? Because I know that you had a moment in that party where you were like, okay, this is great. Like, this is really great. So
yeah. So our middle, he's so sweet. He is just like, he's just a lover. Like, he really wants like hugs and snuggles, and right, baby boys at 2 are like just the sweetest little things. And I got to open his presents with him. And so he would just sit there and he'd go, present. I was like, yeah, buddy, it's for you. Like, do you want it? Then he'd like pull out one piece of like tissue paper, and then he'd go, present. I was like, yeah, like, keep pulling it out. And then he'd like pick it all the way up and he'd go, open piece. And just like immediately, like, he's just so sweet, but he loved all of his presents so much. And it was just to see him like get so excited. He also learned how to blow a bubble finally. So he does the thing where 2-year-olds do with like a bubble wand, and he'll like just stick it up to his lips and give it a kiss.
Yeah.
Like, nobody, like, now you're just eating soap. Like, it's not blowing a bubble. But like, me and his sister were sitting there and we're like, blow on it, buddy. And he finally blew on it and he got 2 bubbles, and we were like cheering, and people were like, what happened? And we were like, he just blew a bubble. It's the best.
It is though. It is, because then you can also be happy because you're like, oh, finally he'll stop eating the soap. Because that's
I was like, honey, I gotta take the bubbles away from you if you're just gonna eat the soap all day.
I know. It's true. Like, you get the bubbles and you're like, this is gonna be a great idea, and then they just eat them all, and you're like, it's not
as great an idea.
We have to wait another 6 months for those.
Yes.
That's good. I'm glad that you did it. You made it through the party. You did the party. You executed the party. You did it. Good job.
Did it.
Yes. Yep. So, hot topic for this episode. Cycle breaking.
This is a good one.
This is a good one. And I want to start though with a disclaimer because you and I are from the same family.
We are.
And I want to just, and because our family, I mean, let's be honest, like my mom, your parents, like they're like probably our number one fans. Shout out to the parents. But I just want to make a disclaimer though, that like this is not in the vein that like we're like, oh my gosh, our families screwed us up so poorly, blah, blah, blah. No. It's just every new generation is going to have some sort of mindfulness about themselves. Our parents' generation had it about their parents, and so on. And so there's always going to be somebody somewhere along the line in a new generation that's going to say, oh, you know what would it look like if I tried to do something a little bit different than a traditional blueprint layout, right?
Yeah. Or the layout that I grew up with. Yeah.
Yep. And that's all that it is, because I definitely know, and really too, when we're talking about mental health experiences, and it's just recognizing that like we're not here blaming anybody. We are not here saying like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that we've been going on like this for generations and blah, blah, blah. No, it's just simply like it's 2025. Things are different. None of us have been in this space where we are today. This is all of our first time living today, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to put that disclaimer out there, because by no means would I ever want our families to think that like we're trying to break out of a shell of what they've created, because we're not. We love our families. We have amazing families. I am super grateful every day for my family, because for our listeners, I am adopted. I was abandoned as an orphan. I am so grateful for my family because I would not be where I was today without them. So yes, there are things that I learned, behaviors and things that I would just like to do better for myself. And it has nothing to do with, oh my gosh, generational curses. No, I don't have any. I'm adopted. It's just me. This is the starting point.
Well, I told my husband that we were going to do cycle breaking tonight, and he goes, oh, so basically every Disney movie for the past 10 years. It's like, I mean, sure. Like, hey, Disney got to it before we did, okay? But no, I think the other thing that makes me think of is that, like, I think so much of mindfulness and mental health and like learning more about our mental health involves learning more about ourselves. And in learning more about ourselves and becoming more aware of the things that we do, a lot of that does come from where you were raised. And it doesn't mean that I don't want to be like I was raised, but there's ways that we can, like you said, like make it better even. Like,
yeah,
I think
because
there's no one out there.
Well, it's like how we talk about in episode 1, right? Like the tools that had served us in the past maybe no longer serve us in the present. Same thing goes for these cycles that it's patterns of learned behavior that we really just want to try to break out of. And maybe it's just as simple as like that thing. Yes, it served. So let's take, for example, our grandfather, Papa. He on our mom's side, he had this plan that was laid out for him, that per generational family lineage stuff, he was supposed to become a pastor, and that was his lot in life. And he broke that cycle and he said, no, that's not the thing that I'm going to do. I do not want to be that. And look at, he became president of a company and did amazing things and gave back to his community. And he was, sheriff's department and all of those things that he contributed to, instead of following the path laid out for him. So if we want to talk about cycle breakers, the
original,
right? Like, that's probably partially where we get it.
Yeah, I mean,
saying.
I even think about, like, when you say learned behaviors, so I was bullied quite a bit as a child, and so I think about especially children in school will learn how to avoid different things, right? Like, I learned how to not get bullied in certain ways, and then those behaviors are now what serves me as I grew up and went into college and stuff like that. Like, those were a lot of my learned behaviors were like, how can I get people to either not notice me or like notice me for things that I want them to notice me for instead of these other things that I was bullied for as a small child. And that has nothing to do with my family or anything else, right? Like, as you're growing, you just start to do and learn how to get what we need. And
Yeah, absolutely. There's this whole part of, and I think I can't remember who the doctor is now, though. He adolescent psychology, um, older gentleman, but he talks about how
there's only one of those.
I know. He's a white guy too. So just know that.
That's it.
But he talks about how there comes an age of a child where it is no longer your family circle that is your influence. You go off to school. You spend more of your waking hours in school with your friends. Yeah, those learned behaviors, right? So there's this part of this external environment that molds you and creates you into this person that has nothing to do with your parents. Like, so yes, that what you're saying there, I could totally see that, and that being something. I'll be honest, I probably introspectively need to look a little bit more at some of my hard cycles.
Well, I even think about, so we talk about borderline personality and how it tends to be related to some abandonment and stuff like that. Where, like you said, you're adopted. So there's a portion that perhaps could come from that, that you were so young and you did have such strong family support that there's a strong chance that it's probably not related to the adoption at all, but it's related to other things that happened later in life and things like that. And I think about, like, yeah, like how I think you just hit the nail on the head, where it's like, how do I look at myself and start to identify, like, what are my cycles that are negative, or that I keep ending up in the same spot and I'm wondering how I got there, right? And that takes so much work to then look back at yourself and be like, wait, I must have gotten myself there somehow. So, like, what are the behaviors that I'm doing that keep me in this space that I didn't really want to be in the first place?
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the ways, though, that you can recognize um a cycle that you might be in. And not, we're not going to say that like all cycles are bad and all cycles are detrimental, but the ones that we're looking at would be the ones where, yes, you are correct, Jen. Like, you have to have a little bit of mindfulness. You have to have a little bit of like, okay, let me emotionally take stock of where I'm currently at and why does this keep happening, when you know the only constant in the narrative is maybe you, right? So when we pause and we look at some repetitive red flags, um avoidant tendencies, maybe finding that you need to hide away in your phone more, or you need to, like, you just keep running away from your family or your problems because you're like, no, that's too scary, right? Like, avoiding the bad things, avoiding the things that seem scary. And you notice that you're doing it with like one specific person, one specific place, one specific scenario, right?
Yeah.
A little bit
Yeah.
there.
We had I just think about feelings in general. And, like, I think a lot of what gets passed down is how to express feelings. I think about, as a mom now with my littles, My oldest is very much, she was my firstborn. And so we tried to do this like parenting technique where like if she gets hurt, we're just not going to respond. And so recently she is now 3.5 and she will hurt herself and she'll just look at us and she'll be crying, right? Like you can tell she's hurt. And she'll look at us and say, "It's not bleeding."
Oh.
And like that's her response is like,
Yeah.
so that's what we have taught her through this is that it's not okay to be hurt or it's not a big enough deal. And so we don't need to respond to it. And like then I try to be like, it's okay to cry, like you're gonna be okay. Like just tell me what you need, like trying to almost over effuse it now because that's like a cycle that I created in her that I'm like, no, I want you to be able to know when you're hurt or sad or emotional and be able to work within that and not just like we talked about before, not just push it down and like avoid it completely, but really to be able to like live in that moment, right? Assess yourself and say, okay, am I hurt? What is that feeling? Am I sad? Am I scared? Am I overwhelmed? And then what can I do to change that or to experience it and then move on?
Yeah. And can we just say though, like to your credit, like this is the first time that this was your first child. It was the first time you guys have been parents. It's and it's not even to say, because I'm gonna promise you by my third child, I'm still like, oh, I did that. That was me. Sorry, kid. Like there's no true guidebook for parenting, right?
Yeah.
After the whole like rearing child infant stage and the technical things where let's be honest, the kids aren't talking, they're not walking much. Yeah, of course there's books on it because people just sit there and study babies and just lay there. Okay. It's weird how the minute they all start moving and going places, there's no more books. Where's all the books?
Can't do anything about it.
No. Everybody's like, no, we're too busy now. We're not writing books anymore. Like, so like you didn't know. You didn't. And this is the thing, again, the disclaimer about creating cycles, being in cycles that nobody knew, right? Like you didn't know as a first-time parent. Our parents didn't know. Our families didn't know. School bullies, all of those things. They are things that just happened, and we're not gonna go back and be like, oh my gosh, we got to pull apart all the past. No. It happened. We move on and we figure out how we can make it better going forward, right?
Yeah.
That's how we break the cycle. We have that breakthrough and we say, oh, that seemed not great. Let's try to make it better, right?
Yeah. I love that. I think absolutely like the goal is, and I think when we say break, it does sound so like aggressive, right? Like I want to break that, but it's like, no, we want to learn from it and then adjust the outcomes in the future and make it better.
Yeah. So the podcast Unbothered that you had sent me that I loved, Truth Doctor, Dr. Courtney Tracy, she said this really amazing line. And she said, the goal is to be a human that has better control of themselves. And I love that because it's like, we're not out here striving to be completely healed. We're not out here striving for perfection. Those are the things, if we're going to set those expectations of being fully healed and being perfect, you're going to fail every time.
You came to the wrong podcast.
Yes. This is not the one. This is not the one. Go find some other type A, but it's not me.
Not us.
Like the goal is to just be a human that has better control of themselves because we can keep spreading the toxic stuff. We can do that all day long. That's the easy route. Right? To stay in the cycle, that's the easy route. And I am not, we all, the levels and the spectrum of the trauma and all of that, there is no judgment here because people get stuck. I was stuck for a very long time. I am not judging anybody for being stuck. It is just very much like recognizing it and saying, oh, I was stuck for a very long time. Let's not be stuck anymore. Let's try something different because that wasn't working. Break that cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. She said she has a tattoo that says human first.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just wonder how many things like would be different if I remembered that every person is human first. There's also this parenting psychologist. Her name is Dr. Becky. I don't know if you've heard about her,
Mm-mm.
but her company is called Good Inside. And so she kind of has this belief of like, yeah, everybody has good inside of them. And even when we're like, whether it's doing bad things or like treating people badly, like, no, we just have to get down to like, where is the good inside of you? And how can we pull that part out? That always gets to
Yeah.
me too. I'm like, oh, yes, like we have to just remember that. I think often I work with young kids at work, and it can be very easy to just say, like, this is a naughty kid, or, they have naughty
Mhm.
behaviors. But getting down to like, what is the root and why, what has happened in their life that this is the best way to get what they need, right? Like stuck in that toxic cycle of I'm going to behave this way because I get what I'm searching for, and so then I have to behave that way again. Um, and like, how can we teach them or get down to that good inside of
Mhm.
let's get to that root of
Yeah.
what's
Yeah, and
painful.
let's be honest, it is a completely natural instinct though, because even we train our pets to do this, right? Because it's a reward behavior for you get a reward for a behavior.
Hmm.
And especially adolescents, they function very I am not calling children puppies. Can I just clarify? I'm just saying that some of the same tactics work, okay? Like you like it is though. It's
It is
the you train
absolutely.
you train your puppy to sit based off of a behavior and a reward. A
Hmm.
kid is going to do the same thing. The difference is what you're training them on is going to be whatever it is that they need in their person to actually feel safe, be seen, be heard, and sometimes it comes out in really bad ways, right?
Hmm.
And there's a bunch of adults in this world that do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It's just everybody is trying to get the basic needs filled of look at me, love me, hear me. Like those are
Hmm.
the things that we all kind of need. And when you don't get them, there's this cycle of acting out.
Yeah.
It's very common. Tale as
I
old as
feel like
time.
it takes me back to your chaos story from this week of Mike having that restraint to not give you that reward when you were looking for it,
Yes, that
right?
reaction. Mhm,
Yes. And so that
mhm,
helps to break that cycle of, oh, I it helps to recognize it, right? Of like, oh, I was spinning down this path and I didn't get what I usually get for it.
mhm.
So now maybe I have to try something different.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, yeah, look at that full circle.
Woo!
Look at that.
Should just cut it off there.
Yeah, but
No,
it's
I
true.
think
I mean, the
that's so cool.
BPD symptoms, there's very much a cycle there. The
Yeah.
problem with the BPD cycle is
Mm.
because you have this unintentional kind of splitting mentality where you kind of I fall into a place where it gets real sketchy on whether or not it's like a real true place. So,
Mm.
one of my favorite movies is Robin Williams movie, What Dreams May Come. It's all like it takes place basically in a painting. And you'll have to watch it. It's very good. It's an
Yeah,
old movie. It's
fascinating.
like
Okay.
90s, 97 or something like that. But
1900s.
in the back in the 1900s, so you get your VHS player out.
For sure.
But it's like that's what it feels. It's living in an abstract place
Okay.
where emotions have now become these huge peaks and valleys that you can't really navigate because the landscape feels internally like it's constantly shifting and changing. So when you get into that place with BPD, there's no real reasoning. Like you
Yeah.
kind of have to
Yeah.
let the cycle play itself out and break
Mhm.
itself out. And the trigger has to recognize that, oh, we're not going to go there because it's not going to do any good. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's hard.
That's so
The
interesting.
cycle with BPD is very, very
Right.
hard because you have to remember those things all the time. And I don't. I'm not going to be perfect at it every time.
Well, and it's not like, yeah, it's a hard one. And like you said, the trigger needs to recognize it. And I like so often people with BPD aren't interacting with people that are willing to do that work or to to recognize what they're looking for.
Yeah. And that's the part where I think cycling, especially in, I mean, cycling, especially if you have an underlying mental health disorder, it gets way more dangerous than than a cycle of like, okay, I recognize that maybe I don't do a bedtime correctly every time, right? And you're like, oh, it's okay, I'll just adjust next week. Or I'll adjust after this thing settles down. And then you do, and you get back onto like a normal rhythm again. Underlying mental health disorders can take that rhythm and be like, yeah, let's freaking shoot it through the sky, and then also make you want to hate yourself at the same time, right? Like, it's like, you can't you can't navigate that. So it's best to try to break your cycles when you can, when you're like being mindful of it, because they're gonna come back around. They're gonna be there just waiting for you.
Yes. The interesting thing that I was looking at is something that's very scientifically known as the biosocial theory, which basically is just the idea of nature versus nurture. And so, like we've talked about a little bit with generational trauma, like some of that can be based on our parents or our parents' parents or kind of the experiences that they've all had, and even the things that were going on in the world when they were young, as opposed to like the things that are going on in the world when we are young, and how that's shaped our generations and our parenting styles and different things like that. So that's obviously like the nurture part, but then like the nature part, that bio part of us, that's preloaded with certain things. And I think that's some of the research and work that you've been doing too, is kind of looking into what are my genes loaded with? Am I predisposed for any other mental health conditions or even any like other medical conditions, right? And then like, what are we doing in our lives that can bring that out stronger? I just feel like so much of that contributes to those cycles, and it's like there's two sides to it, but they both are equally at play, and they're both working to kind of guide our actions and our behaviors, and then leading us into those cycles.
Yeah. I will say that I have never, this is the first time in my life that I have really considered the nature part, because I've always worked off the nurture part, because being an orphaned person, like I have no real, I don't have a foundation. I don't really have a foundation. So my foundation was built off of me being told, this is your adoptive family and this is how your family structure is. And all that's the stuff that got uploaded to my system. But there is a part of it that I never considered before, this nature part, where now that I'm finding that I have a I have a genetic disposition to schizophrenia. I definitely have genetic disposition to depression, anxiety, and all of those other things. And so now it's like, oh, that totally makes sense. But at the same time, like I could never have guessed it just off the bat. Like I could definitely recognize that, like, oh, I maybe don't function the same as everybody else, but I am high functioning, so I can mask it really well and not even really know it sometimes. So I have to be careful of that. And I think that's the part where I'm learning, like, it's okay to live in my bio identity a little bit too. And be like, hey, these are things that I am predisposed to, and these are things that I am dealing with, and I'm working with professionals to get help on, because I don't think there's anything else that I could have done about that, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to
do?
Well,
and it's the way that they start to interact together, right? Of like, maybe something hasn't come out yet because a different part of your genes have been displaying themselves so far. And yet it could come out at a different time in a different way, or
yes, very true, because I've never been 40 before. This is my first time being 40, so I don't know what to expect. A couple more days I'm going to be 41. It's going to be a whole other ball game. So we're going to see what happens. Okay.
That's funny.
So that's the end. We made it to the end. Let's do it. We got to do our challenge. Thank you to everybody who made it to the end of episode 2. Cycle breaking. Yeah. Okay. So this week's truth or dare, we dare you to identify a cycle in your life that you would like to break out of. Identify your cycle, figure out the work that you might have to do to go along with it, or just start by identifying it and sit with it for a little bit and see how it feels. See where it feels in your body. We dare you to just kind of face that a little bit and see if it helps you kind of move past, and maybe you have a breakthrough. And Jen, what's the truth today?
As always, the truth is that we love you, and we're grateful for everyone listening.
And tell your friends.
Thank you.
Tell more people.
Your friends. Follow us.
We hope you guys have a great week. Thank you for joining us on Somewhere Between the Chaos and the Calm. I'm going to ask ChatGPT.
Oh, chat.
Because to be fair, I haven't used ChatGPT in well over 10 days. It's probably getting worried about me.
Chat's gonna ask you where you've been.
Did you die?
Are you all right?